Hello and welcome to Kerbal Colonization Program. My name is Jim, aka Sachami Labeta, and this week I am going to be attacked by my cat every time. As soon as I start talking, she wants in my lap. This week I am going to. The first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and launch a series of communication satellites that I probably should have launched previously for my support my base on Minimus. Because they cannot communicate properly back with the rest of the base because I screwed up, basically. To make the long story short, I should have put these into orbit first, but every time Minimus occludes the view to Earth for my communications, it doesn't work. So I have set up three satellites inside of my regular launch vehicle based on the Falcon 9. It's a slightly upscaled version of the Falcon 9 because it just doesn't. I don't know. KSP doesn't have quite the same options, at least without a ton of mods. This does have some mods. Actually, I've got a lot of mods, but this is my standard two-stage, Falcon 9 style. This only uses 7 engines because the engines are more powerful, and Kerbin does not have nearly as much atmosphere to escape, so it works pretty well. The upper stage, slightly modified upper stage, it is not reusable. It is an expendable upper stage. It has kept the reaction control batteries and RCS thrusters, and I added some photovoltaic panels and a high gain antenna to communicate back with Kerbin, but I ditched all of the landing equipment. Excuse me. I ditched all the landing equipment so that it saves some weight, and also it's completely unnecessary because this is going to get expanded, so there's no reason you wouldn't waste the money on that. So as you can see inside my fairing, my cat is trying to get in my water. Doesn't matter if she has water, she wants my water. Yeah, don't you little shit. Inside the fairing, you can see I've got three basically very standard communication satellites. They are each have 3 solar panels, some batteries, some RCS tanks, a main thruster, and fuel tanks, and that's about it. And each one of them is going to be set up. Basically, we're going to aim for not a geosynchronous orbit because it's not around Earth, but a synchronous orbit around Minimus, or Minmus. And I figured this out. The Minimus orbit, I figured it out. I got it from the wiki. It's 357.94 kilometers is the altitude we need for a synchronous orbit of Minimus at a circular orbit. You can do other synchronous orbits, by setting the proper semi-major axis, but we want circular orbits so that each satellite will be released about 120 degrees from each other so that they maintain position, so that at no point is anything on the surface of Minimus out of contact with Kerbin, with the exception of maybe some stuff at the poles, but that's pretty unlikely. And I have no reason to go to the poles. So a lot of this information is based on a earlier video by Matt Lown, how I learned how to do the synchronous orbit for things like that. Communication satellites and again, they don't have to be synchronous. They just have to be, in this case, they don't actually have to be synchronous. They just have to be reasonably far, or they have to be about 120 degrees from each other, and a synchronous, or their orbits need to be, orbital periods need to be very, very close, so they don't drift too far off their positions from each other. That way, there's always coverage on any part of the surface of Minmus. And let me see here. I gotta check. Stop it. All right. Yeah, she's just here to mess with me and get hair all over everything. In my water, in my food, it doesn't really matter. That's what cats do. So I'm going to launch this, and so this is set up in return mode. I'm not going to actually return it, most likely, because I just don't feel like doing that. But it is set up so it can do so. The Kerbal Engineering Redux has problems with this, what do they call it, engine plate. It just seems to not be able to actually calculate properly for when it separates. which is fine. It's not that big a deal, but it's more just an annoyance than anything else. All right, so I'm gonna slide this down. The staging is a little off, and I didn't stage the separators, stack separators for these because I want to do it manually when it's at where it's supposed to be. I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that RCS continues to work on this. I've had a lot of problems with RCS failing on me for no particular reason. It's one of the mods, I'm sure, but RCS just stops working. And it's really helpful when you're trying to set the very precise orbit you need to do this. So fingers crossed the RCS works. If it doesn't, I can kind of make it work. And once I launch these, the engines on these are very small and they're very maneuverable. It's got plenty of reaction wheel control, so it's easy to flip them around. So we're going to begin the launch. This is a very standard launching to Kerbal orbit. No real, nothing really special. Excuse me, I don't know why suddenly I'm so in trouble. Yeah, basic launch profile. The booster would, in theory, and I'm still going to separate it as if it was going to return, but I probably won't do the return vehicle thing. Well, I'm going to go ahead and arm FMRS anyway, just for fun. And then throttle up, make sure everything is good. Set, and we'll launch. Ooh, it's loud. At least a very, very annoying sound. Something. Did my microphone? What happened? Oh, there we go. Accidentally knocked the volume down on my microphone too. All right. Yeah, so we're going to start a gravity turn. If you don't know about a Kerbal Space Program, ideally you want to start your gravity turn so you're pointed at a roughly 45-degree angle by the time you get to 10 kilometers altitude, which we're watching up here. And we want to make it a fairly gradual turn. We're about right here, on track. We can see our 7, basically KSP equivalent of the Merlin engines, kicking away down here. They're gimbaling more. I think their gimbal range is a little bit higher than it probably should be for the Merlin engine, but it's close. All right, so there, we're about 10 kilometers, and we are at about 45 degrees. And I'm watching this stage liquid fuel, and in fact, I'm going to keep on this tank. Also watching my periapsis, or excuse me, my apoapsis. But when this tank gets, about here, that's when we cut it and we would do a boost back. And my gravity turn is probably a little bit off because I'm spending a little too much time in the atmosphere because I'm getting this atmospheric heating, but it's okay. So yeah, if I do this right, I just achieve orbit. I'm going to go a little bit farther. All right. Now, I have the throttle down and stage. And then, whoa, what happened here? This got all wrong. No, that's not what I wanted at all. Why didn't this engine activate? Okay, well, I didn't mean to set... No. I didn't want to separate the fairing that soon. Why did the engine fail to separate, or fail to activate? That's weird. Well, okay, I didn't want to open the fairing so soon, but it'll be okay. So I'm going for about 110 kilometer orbit, give or take. That gives me plenty of hang time to adjust this and set up my circularization burn. And let's get that down to about 110 as well. It'll be roughly circular. Doesn't have to be perfect. the apoapsis. There we go, close enough. So what is my current altitude? Oh yeah, all right. So I'm out of the atmosphere. I can set this way and go ahead and deploy my solar panels, which I will need. Technically, I think this has enough battery to keep it running basically the entire duration, but just in case, I didn't want to take any chances. Excuse me, I'm also eating ice cream. That's my after dinner treat. I didn't want to take any chances on this not basically running out of power, this probe core running out of power in the middle of the mission. So it's actually got more solar power panels than it really needs, but especially if I'm relying on just reaction wheels, that could be a problem. So let's see, let's speed this up a little bit. So yeah, that fairing deploy happened a little sooner in the atmosphere than I wanted. I would have waited till a little further out, but it's all right. Let's see, and we're just waiting to 11 seconds for the circularization burn. You should be able to see that down here in the bottom. Oh, no. There we go. But we got a nice looking, I like the way that it does the interstage fairings now. That looks really nice. And they work much better, I think, than they used to as well. There we go. That is close enough. All right, so now we got to plot our, and I waited to make sure that the alignment was right. So the MUN wouldn't get in the way. We have to plot our maneuver for minimus and bring that back down. Set as target. Set as target. Okay, there we go. And we're just going to get close, and then as we can, and then make a mid-course correction to adjust our ascending node and things of that nature, because we don't really want to. And I also don't want to lose my trajectory where I'm going out. Yeah, so we want to set just as close a maneuver or close an encounter as we possibly can, and then go from there. The mid-course correction will be plenty to adjust where we need to be. All right, come on, just give me. Okay, that's a little further out than I want, but I can make some adjustments here, and I'm just trying to get within a reasonable range. Then out at this descending node, basically, we'll go ahead and make a mid-course correction. It's the best place to adjust your. Hello, James. That's the best place to adjust your inclination as well. Far away from the sphere of influence of. Well, technically, I'm still in Kerbal sphere of influence, but far away from that as possible. And then we'll set that up. So yeah, this is not the most ideal, but I've got plenty of delta V on my current. It's like 200, like over 2,000 meters per second, and I'm not bringing this back, so I don't have to worry about it running out of fuel anytime soon. So yeah, I'll make the adjustment about there, and that should do the trick. I'm just warping around here, and this is not the most efficient encounter either. I could do this probably better if I wanted to spend a lot of time screwing with it, but I don't feel like doing that, so we're just going to do it the old-fashioned, and by old-fashioned I mean completely reckless way. And time warp down to 11 seconds again. All right. And 2, 1. And once we complete this burn, we'll need one more. Well, we'll need a course correction, and we'll need one more burn to actually capture at Minimus. And the reason I'm using Minimus to restate what I said before is it's a great place for a fueling base. Ooh, what was that? Oh, someone followed me. Okay, cool. I'm using a new stream system, so I'm sometimes a little confused about all these noises. But thank you for following, James. Okay, my RSS is working, sounds like. Because I turned it on, I could hear it firing. Now I'm... come on. There we go. So my maneuver is more or less where I want it. Then we're going to go to the descending node. First of all, all right, so an add maneuver. And then we're going to decrease and do a... There we go. Adjustment. This is, again, not super efficient, but it will do the trick. Oop. There we go. I need to focus on Minimus here. And wait. Wait, what? What maneuver is this? I'm very confused. I got too many intersections with Minimus here. So we're going to try this again. Again, adjusting the... Just anything. Yeah, I can... Well, that's weird. The chat window... Hang on, see if I can get this chat window... Yeah, my... that's weird. I can only see part of the chat window, but yeah, you're suggesting prograde. I think you're correct. I'm going to make a minor adjustment here. I'm going to go set up a maneuver node for just a minute. Yeah, all right. So the encounter is technically close enough, but I'm trying to get it a little closer. There we go. That should do it. It's still a little bit further off, but I am now encountering at least. I can make that mid-course correction. This is, again, not super efficient, but it's enough to do what we need to do, and should have enough delta V to do it. So I'm going to warp around. I actually did this. It's weird. I did this mission. I think I set my upper orbit or my initial orbit a little too high because I did this mission before without actually the encounter was almost perfect, but I set for too high an orbit this time. I think that may be part of my problem. I got it to within within encounter immediately. But such is the joy. I should honestly, if MechJeb is broken again, and some of the advanced planning tools are also broken, so it's hard to get to really do the very specific burns you have to do. But I think you're asking, am I setting up a geostationary comnet? Yes, I am. I have a base that I already started on. I meant to do the comnet first, and I forgot. So I put a base on Minimus, and it does not have a good connection all the time, which is a problem. So I am going to spend a little time deploying a geostationary. I'm going to try for geostationary. Really, that's less important to me than it is to just have one that is, properly 120 degrees apart and on the same orbital period, so that they all stay 120 degrees apart. So I always have coverage. And I just ran this earlier tonight, and I don't know what I goofed this time, but it definitely was a little further off than I wanted. Let's see. Periapsis. Now, my periapsis I need to encounter 357.94 kilometers to actually be at the stationary height. 357 point, yeah. So we're going to have to adjust. I keep adjusting until we get just the right. And I'm aiming for just a close one right now. And then, actually, that's right where I want. I don't think I'm going to be able to achieve that. I can't read can't read the chat. Hang on a sec. It's weird. I can see only part of what you're saying on my thing. So let me try and get the chat going here. Why all this not? Appearance. Here we go. Increase the chat width. Like my orbit almost matched with Luminous. Yeah, no, but I can also just do this. All right, so I'm locked on. I just need to get to, say, 1 second burn. I'm actually going to look at that real quick. Okay. Right here. We're locked. And I'm going to start burning a little sooner at a lower thrust, because I have far too much thrust to actually complete this maneuver around the time I want. And again, we'll make some fine adjustments here momentarily. Using RCS. Oh, I'm using RCS on those, so I forgot those were turned on. Well, that's okay. There's literally a absolute ton of RCS fuel on those. Yeah, 357.758. That's pretty good. And then we are going to way overshoot on that. Playing PS4 with no mods is so hard. Yeah, I mean, I played the stock game originally. This has got a ton of mods, obviously, but some of that's to do stuff that I really can't do with the stock game. Also, it's all right. That's close enough. 358 and 356, and then I'll make minor adjustments once we get into orbit. Yeah, the stock game is difficult without mods. The biggest one being the fact that it does not have, what would you call it? Kerbal Engineer Redux, which is super important, or super useful, I should say, for doing a lot of this planning. That's something that should be part of the game, honestly. Like that, it boggles my mind that is not built into the game. Because honestly, doing these missions without that, like, once you spend a lot of time playing with, like, I could build a Mun mission without, you know, Kerbal Engineer and probably get within it. I wouldn't be very efficient, and it would be much harder than it needs to be. But I mean, I could do it. But like some of this other stuff, it's mind-bogglingly hard to do without Kerbal Engineer. Yeah, I wish I could easily. Yeah, you're right. I mean, there's no reason that Kerbal Engineer isn't part of the base game. To be honest with you, they've already incorporated mods. Why that one is not there, I don't know, because it's just so useful. Even with, there's Mech Jeb that will do similar things, but I think Kerbal Engineer just, if you don't want to have one that can do all this crazy precise stuff, with that you can still just, yeah, you can do your Kerbal Engineer. All right, I'm waiting for my maneuver to reach maneuver here. Yeah, you struggle with interplanetary missions. I mean, it's so the other thing is without Kerbal Engineer, but a launch window planner is also super useful, which you kind of need. You almost have to use an outside thing for some of the launch windows for like getting to Jewel or Duna, and then making the calculations, knowing exactly how much Delta V you've got left, things like that. All right, so I'm gonna go to the periapsis here, and then. I'm pretty close, but I need to be 350. What did I say it was? 357.94. I'm concentrating a little harder than I. I think I'm going to get much closer than that. Doing anything like, and honestly, just knowing how much Delta V your lander has for when you're landing on Minimus and things like that are incredibly helpful. And the fact that you're constantly fighting without it. I mean, it's impressive that you can play the game at all, but going completely mod free seems. I mean, that's like, that's double hard mode. Yes, my orbit is really slow. I'm at stationary distances. It's going to be very slow. All right, let's kick the RCS on. And I'm actually going to go ahead and delete this node. Just do this by hand. $57.72. That's about the closest I'm going to get. So we got to go around and do the exact same thing on the other side. Well, I don't want to warp to maneuver. We'll go ahead and warp here. I just got to get so I can get to where I want to warp. Warp here. I want to be pointing prograde, which I should be already. I just want to make sure I'm aligned to prograde, and then we're going to adjust. NASA has some sort of program. Of course it does. Yeah, NASA. It's all done. It's all done on computers. I mean, you can do it with slide rules and stuff technically, but yes, it's all done. Tons of pre-planning. You're actually making it so much harder on yourself. $357.7. Yeah, I'm not going to get any closer than that. And again, it's not entirely important that I do that. All right, so there's cat hair everywhere. Damn, it really is cat hair everywhere. She just sheds now, especially now that it's getting warmer. She just leaves hair everywhere. The important thing is I'm actually, I'm also inclined a little bit, but I don't care too much about that. That's not important. The important thing is that they stay close relative to each other. So I've got to figure out, I've got to do a little bit of math here. It's 1 day, 5 hours, and just under 13 minutes is my orbital period. And my semi-major axis is right about where I want it to be too, so that's all good. My inclination is off, but I don't care about that too much. But what I need to do is figure out my orbital period, what it needs to be, and where I need to reduce my orbital period to. So I need to keep my apoapsis the same and reduce my periapsis until my orbital period is 2/3 of the orbital period it currently is. So, and 1 day, and this is 1 day in Kerbal days, which is actually 6 hours. So this is 6 hours. This is just over 11 hours, and it's about 11 hours and 13 minutes. So 11 times 60 is 660 hours, right? So 100. Yeah. So plus like 660. So 673 divided by 3 is 224 times 2. That's 448 minutes divided by 60 is 7 hours. So I need my orbital period to be 1 day, 1 hour, give or take. So we're going to go to the, I'm going to wait. I'm going to actually warp here. I want to be pointing retrograde. And then when I get, right about when I get to my apoapsis, I want to burn so that my orbital period adjusts to 1 day and 1 hour, give or take. The only reason I got the PS4 is because my laptop couldn't run it, which sucks because I already had bought it on Steam and had to buy it again. Yeah, that does suck. Because honestly, it's a way better experience to play on the computer. It's not even close. Just because, again, the mods available. All right, time to apoapsis is 48 seconds, so we're close. I'm adjusted that way. So I'm just using my RCS thrusters. I'm literally going for 1 day, 1 hour. And if I go a little below it, that's okay, because I actually undershot it on that one. So there we go. Now my orbital period. So what's going to happen is, and my apoapsis, yeah, all right, so I'm close enough. I'm going to go ahead and deploy the first satellite. And then switch to it. I'm going to make a minor adjustment. And then I'm going to point prograde. And then get my periapsis to 357. All right. So I'm a little off now, but that's okay. Turn off RCS. Because I'll be able to, on my next orbit, make some corrections. Where am I? Right. So it adjusted my periapsis. I can make a little bit of an adjustment here. All right, so basically the next time I get to my apoapsis, which I can do that before... well, actually, that one's not too bad. 356.792. What I really need to do is adjust my apoapsis down to a better spot. But let's see. That's 4 hours and 15 minutes, give or take. And I gotta... and it is how far to its... It's a day to its apoapsis, so that's fine. We're right on the other side of the orbit. So that's, we got time to adjust this one. And we want to do that while it's on this orbit so it doesn't drift too far off. Yeah, 1 day, 3 hours. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the apoapsis, make the adjustment on its periapsis, and then I will go ahead and launch the next one, and hopefully that will get right about where we need it. So we're close. We're within range. So I'm going to point it, no, I want to point it prograde, and then activate RCS, and then just... 358. That's pretty good. All right, turn off RCS. The problem is this one is too close to... I could install mods, but it's hard. It's really hard on console. I've never tried it on console. You know, when I was looking at this game, it just seemed like that's a PC game. Okay, so this guy is going to hit its apoapsis. And we want to go ahead and apoapsis is time to apoapsis 2 hours 41 minutes. So I want to warp to here, because that'll give me a little time to actually so I'm going to deploy this next satellite. And then switch to the wrong thing. Time to apoapsis is 4 minutes. That's a good time. Now I want to get my periapsis up to 357 and change, almost 358. 357.9. 357.553. 482. 57, 784, and 735. It's about the best I'm going to get. Honestly, 200 meters, or, you know, a few hundred meters is about the best you can hope for in this game. So let's point normal. Oh, RCS has stopped working. Fantastic. I guess there will be no more RCS adjustments, because it just decided to stop. And that's been a problem I've had with this, is that RCS just doesn't work sometimes. And it's one of the mods that I've installed. So that's the upside of not being able to install mods, is they can't break your game. I wish I knew what actually was doing this, but I for the life of me I can't figure it out. And it seems to be the only way to fix it is sometimes to restart the game, which I really don't want to do. The other thing I'm going to do is go ahead and tour, after I finish this, tour my Minimus base, what I've set up so far, and kind of show off the there's a Kerbal attachment system and also some of the parts for the Kerbal colonization, USI colonization stuff. So 2, 1. I'm a little bit off. There we go. Perhaps 358, 71 apoapsis is still a little off, but it's within margin of error. Flight Engineer's making a weird thing. Yeah, if you're going to install mods, at least install Kerbal Engineer. I goofed on this one because I forgot to extend solar panels. But that's okay. Where am I? Yeah. All right. So I set a maneuver at the periapsis to get my apoapsis down to 358 or so. This should be close enough. Yep, RCS is broken again. That's fun. All right, so that node is in 2 hours. So I'm gonna actually fine tune that node a little bit. There we go. All right, and warp to node. You can see it's connected to the base right there. And then we'll go ahead and get this up to a right about where we need. And I'm going to really just I'm just nudging this. So super low. Just little pulses with the lowest throttle on my engine. And I wish, I'm actually going to turn the thrust limit down quite a bit because RCS doesn't work. And so I will cheat. There we go. Close enough. 357.9. What are you doing? 357.966 and 358.225. That's good. I will do the surface base, yes. It's very basic right now. It only has a couple modules and a lander. But as soon as I finish launching the final thing. But yeah, see, that looks like it's about 120 degrees apart. The next one should launch, yeah, if this works right, the next one should be, basically about here relative to the other two satellites. But let's switch back to this. And I should then have enough delta V on this thing to send it back to send it back to Kerbin to crash into the atmosphere. So that'll be fun. And I'm disabling FMRS. I don't want to accidentally have that thing trigger in a way I don't want to. And then we are going to actually going to go ahead and deploy. I'm going to point to normal and deploy this satellite a little early. We'll go ahead and make sure hibernate and warp is turned on. Extend these solar panels. It's my time to Apos. 4 hours. That's plenty. And then I'll go ahead and decouple. I'm going to decouple force set down to very, very low, so it should not add too much impulse. It does separate it slightly, but does not make much difference. And then we will go ahead and set a maneuver at periapsis to... oh, wait, I'm almost at my periapsis, not my apoapsis. Well, that's fine. Because this thing is perfectly separate, and that's... What am I going to do with the booster? I'm going to crash it into Kerbal if I can. If not, I will crash it into Minimus and a uninhabited area, which is most of Minimus. So that's should be pretty easy. I would actually have to. I think I would have to try to hit my own base at this point, given how sparsely populated Minimus is. I think it is got 3 Kerbals on it, and a base in one spot. So, oop! How did I overshoot that so bad? 358. Making some minor adjustments. Do this just right. 357.896, 356.555. Close enough. So I will do physics warp for a while to let this thing get a little further away from the main booster. And actually, technically, I can just turn this go back to this main booster. I don't need it at all. I've only got 617 meters per second, so that's... I get SSDO to get a rover to Minimus. SSDOs land terribly on Minimus. I mean, I could, but in most cases, they're really overkill for going to Minimus, especially given the way they want to land. So I'm going to go ahead and deorbit this. And I'm going to change my inclination so that I shouldn't come in. In an area where I might impact my... There. Now it's impossible for me to impact one of my... impact my base because it is nowhere near... It's going to land nowhere near the base, so... SSDO is a little extensive... and technically my Falcon 9, if the payload is small enough, I can actually launch that single stage to orbit too. But I'm doing it in what things... It's actually really hard to bring a full rocket booster back to Earth or to Kerbal. In reality, it's pretty easy to do in KSP, but it's horribly difficult to do in real life. And the point of this is trying to do things at least semi-realistically. So yeah, let's go ahead and... Yeah, this should impact long before we get to... The other one gets to its orbit. So we're going to go ahead and crash this poor bastard into Minimus. We hardly knew ye. I think technically I can land this. But I'm not going to. Oh, what the hell. Nope. Too late. Oh, wait. Part of it might have survived. The probe core is still alive. And is actually going fast enough, it might get back into orbit. if it had a little bit of impulse right here, it could get back into orbit. But yeah, I'm going to switch back to this other one because that's done. it is toast. But that's why so that technically that second stage, I know you weren't watching. I don't think you were watching the beginning. But that second stage is technically reusable. It's pretty. It's technically reusable. It's not. It if I leave it in its configuration, but I changed it to be disposable. Nice Snookums. So we're just gonna deploy the last ComNet piece, or not deploy, but circularize the orbit of the last ComNet piece, and then I need to be pointing the right direction. And then, all right, so time to maneuver. I'm going to start burning about, actually going to start burning a little early just because I'm going to use my engine very sparingly. So all right, and periapsis. How did my periapsis get pushed down? Now it's off again. But my periapsis changed position a little bit. But that's okay. So I can go to the periapsis and adjust my adjust the height of my apoapsis, which is a little too far off. And I'm going to turn the thrust limiter way down on this one too, just because RCS isn't working. I would normally be using RCS for this. .357. All right, that's pretty close. So now, if we look, yeah, see that one's too close, and I don't know that I've had this happen. I had this happen before. I think it's probably because this is the one I deployed first, and I didn't get it quite. Didn't get it quite right. So I'm not going to change it because actually it's stable. And they're reasonably far enough apart, but they're not quite 120 degrees. If you look, these two are separated just right, but this one should be about here. And that's where the apoapsis was before, and something got messed up. I think I got bugged because if you looked, I originally warped to here, which is where my apoapsis was supposed to be, and then suddenly I shifted around here. So I'm not sure how that got all goofy. Also, probably my maneuver was slightly off, but it's not worth fighting over it. Their orbital periods are almost identical, which means they should be close enough to keep each other relatively far apart. So I'm going to go back to the Space Center for a second, to the Tracking Center, so you can see the ComNet picture. I could probably redo this, and I may in fact redo this when I'm off stream. But for now, so you can see they are mostly, it's not quite an equilateral triangle, but they are triangular apart at no point. And if we speed the days up a little bit, we're on day 43 right now. If we speed it up a little bit, they maintain a relatively similar position to each other, and at no point is anything not in range of the ComNet. So Minimus base core. Did one of my landers disappear? Is that possible? That would be really annoying if it did. I'm gonna be upset because Okay, so the lander's there. But there should be a... Yeah, it disappeared from orbit. There should be a... there should be a service module right here at a low orbit. And it's not at a low enough orbit that it would have crashed into anything. So I don't know what the hell happened. I guess it got krakened? I don't know. So I was going to show the service module, but I guess I won't. So this is my surface base, and I'm going to go ahead and warp until it's in the daylight side. Come on. Why have you suddenly started to work so badly? All right. So this is using a couple mods. This is using the USI, one of the USA Kolonization mods. This is the Flexo tube in between here that keeps that basically is connecting these two base modules. I will probably put some of the other base modules closer together, but the power module needs a lot of extra space for these solar panels, as does this one. The other ones do not have nearly as big as solar panels. As a matter of fact, I can just retract these solar panels because they are completely unnecessary. They are overkill at this point. But this was the core segment, so it needed solar panels to operate originally. And over here is part of one of my lander, my lander, part of a Apollo-style two-part lander, two-part system. One that had a orbiter, and that was going to stay in orbit, and then this. And I do not know what happened to that orbiter. I can't imagine what would have killed it, because it's not there anymore. So these all, the way this works is Kerbal attachment system and Kerbal, the other things. This actually makes these all one piece. So this is technically all one vehicle, or all one vessel, even though they look like separate pieces. So I brought the lander down. The lander has Kerbal attachment system, connector ports on it, and basic communication system and all that stuff. It is a perfect little lander for Minimus. It's got plenty of delta V to get off, land and take off all by itself, but it's being refueled. It's been refueled from the tanks on the base, which is never going to really move again. So I didn't need to worry about that too much. But these do have some fuel tanks in them. Looks like the Illuminati, yeah. So we're landing here. This is where we're at. I'm gonna show you. So let's see. Erlen can go EVA. Where are we? There we are. Oh, interesting. What did you do? Why are you flying like that? You just bounce like crazy. So should have a turn off RCS for a second. I need to open my inventory. Where is her equipment? Did her equipment get deleted too? Along with my rover or my lander? Not lander, my orbiter. I guess you can reboard, and we'll see if Billy Bob has his inventory, or if that got lost too. Because I was going to. Nope, he's got his inventory attached. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and unlink. I cannot remove the helmet outside of the station. So I unlinked it. So you see these are no longer connected. Technically, this piece over here can go and fly away now. So what the... Got krakened. Good news. I saved before this. Wow. That was a particularly explosive krakening. Jeez. Yeah, that's weird. My orbiter just got lost. Also, my so you can see that detaches. I will use one of the other ones and not actually connect it. Hopefully, my Kerbal attachment system thing doesn't detonate when I detach my lander, because that would be really bad. Because I need that lander to leave. So, let's see. I'm going to send Billy Bob out again and have him. So the way these connect is, I was gonna redo it, but Jesus, apparently the Kraken decided to have its way with me, and in a really weird way too. The way these work is you get close to it and it's like link, and then you can drag it to another one of a similar node and link them together, which I'm going to stop that. Now let's try. My inventory really full or something? Oh yeah, that's weird. I got too many tools in my inventory. Do I stream anything else? I do sometimes do Space Engineers. I also do I do a new game every week because I have a ton of games in my Steam library that I've never played. Why won't you fly? There you go. So I try and play a new game every week. So I'm gonna unlink. Are you gonna Kraken out too? Any Krakening? Just to show how this works. So this works basically the same way as... So this is now a separate vessel again. I can fly this vessel back up to orbit, which I would do if I had my orbiter. But I... Scrap Mechanic, is that a Steam game as well? Or something available for PC? So technically I can board this, take off, all that kind of stuff. I'm not going to take off, but I am now a separate vehicle. Again, I'm going to EVA him and then go. It is a separate game. Okay. Go back out here. These pylons allow places to... This is a ground pylon that's actually attached just directly to the ground, as it is implied, and it allows you to connect various pieces to it, including specifically these connector ports. And this is really nice if you want to have a place to build a little fueling area. So eventually, what I'm going to do is drop another pylon, like over this way, and then have a couple places to board so we can land different landers, different places. But for now, and actually I have another pylon. How much? What is in my inventory? I don't have any other connectors, which is unfortunate because I should, but I think they got krakened away as well. So I'm going to link these up, and now this is technically a solid piece, and this is now one whole vehicle is all complete here. So the next thing I got to do, I guess, I'm going to go ahead and give him send up another orbiter. I actually wanted to try using an orbiter using some of the new parts in the service orbiter and using the new parts anyway. So I might do that. I got a couple of all the new parts from the Making History expansion. Includes a service module where you can put tanks and stuff like that, which looks pretty cool. It's obviously based on the Apollo service module, and I may give that a try, since I wanted to do that anyway. But I built this original orbiter before that had been released to the general public, so I didn't use it. And I'm going to bring this guy over here. And then be board in my airlock. I could fly over an orange tank. I actually have a fuel storage module set up, ready to bring over here. That's the next. So the next thing I'm going to bring in is the ISRU module and the fuel storage module and the supplies and KIS storage lander. Actually, it won't be even a module because it doesn't really need to be attached. Oh no, I have a module for that too. I'm going to bring a lander as well. So that will keep me well stocked at all these things. I'm going to retract this antenna. I don't need to be using that. That was my secondary antenna for this, as I flew it in. So that's the main base. In fact, instead of, I was going to quit. What I think I'm going to do is show the design. I'm going to design a service module, which will go by itself, remote controlled service module that I will send out here to, it will be the next generation service module for this lander. I like this lander. It's the perfect size for bringing a few Kerbins down, or Kerbals down to Minimus, but I want to have a new service module. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go back to the Space Center and build a service module. Make it a rover, and then I don't want a rover. Honestly, rovers on Minimus are pretty terrible. The gravity on Minimus is so low that it's very easy to fly. You're much better off with a hopper of some kind, and the rovers tend to want to fly off the ground. So I need to get the service module going, because these guys, in theory, I guess we're simulating if something had happened to one of the important parts of a space mission. They actually had planned for ways to launch. What's up, dude? They had planned for ways to launch a second Apollo mission in case there was problems in orbit. So there were actually options for what to do in case there was an emergency. So this is like we're doing an emergency. First thing we're going to start with a Mark 1-3 command pod, because we have 3 Kerbals. This will seat 3. And then we need to make sure it has a heat shield, because we're going to be coming in, not interplanetary, but we're still going to be coming a little faster than you probably want to go without a heat shield. So I need a 2.5 meter heat shield. There we go. Auto strut all of this. Everything should be auto strut all of the time. All right, and then we will get a coupler. Coupling. I have too many mods installed. But we just need a standard Clampotron docking port. Nothing fancy for this. And what else did this have on it? What else does my service module have on it? Actually, I could save myself a lot of trouble and instead use my modify my existing one instead of building a whole new one. So Minmus, Mark 1 Minimus crew lander. Here we go. Yeah, so we'll reload this, and then see, this is already ready to launch part of the stack. I'm going to get rid of all this nonsense because I don't need that. Yeah, see, originally this had a container for Kerbal inventory system stuff. So let's see. We need to get most of this out of here. Launch escape system. We don't need that because if it blows up on the launch pad, we're not trying to save anybody. So we can get rid of that part. This is going to be an unmanned launch. Need the decoupler. Need this. Need this. Need. Gonna need these things. Don't need that. Gonna need that. Get rid of this nonsense. I'm gonna need a high gain antenna. Okay. Service. Where is the SM 2.25 service module? There we go. So yeah, that's a place to contain all of the various tanks of stuff we'll need, and various other things. So we do want to go ahead and put this in here. Turn off the shroud so we can see what we're doing. So basically everything will be stored in this area. So this would be the tanks, primary fuel tanks, and I think the new 1.8 will fit in here. Yes. So I just need the shorter version. So that's FL. Yeah. Okay. That will work. Slap that back on. Ooh, no, that actually doesn't fit very well. But these do. Except that's too tall. There we go. More or less perfect fit. For those two things, auto strut the hell out of this, just so it doesn't rattle itself apart. Auto strut this. And then we will have our... we need to do RCS tanks. And then there's a couple RCS tanks. And then batteries. So this is one that will not be reused. So we don't have to... Actually, will that fit in there like that? No, okay. This will not be reused, so I don't have to worry about where we place things for easy access, although we can still access all that stuff. So a couple 4K... Come on. There we go. Nope. A couple 400. Oh, why is this not attaching? The other ones work just fine. Why won't you... Was that not attached to the... That's weird. Why did the other thing work just fine and not this? I've not used this new part yet. So I'm a little bit confused as to how it all works. Will that stick out of the shroud? Yeah, I don't know why. Well, this is dumb. Well, yeah, I can offset it. I'm just trying to figure out why it doesn't want to attach where the other one did. That's weird. All right, there's room for that. So that's plenty of battery power, really, for this. I think I had one 1K battery. And then, so yeah, we got the monopropellant, we got those. Technically, you'd probably put other stuff in there, like a, you know, certain. I guess I'm trying to think of what you would use that for. They use that for oxygen and stuff like that, supplies. and various other storage pieces. Oh, the RTGs would go in there. That was the other thing. So the original Apollo service module did not have solar panels. It used not RTGs. It used fuel cells, hydrogen and oxygen fuel cells, and there would have been tanks, hydrogen and oxygen tanks in here to run the fuel cells. It didn't actually. This stage was hypergolic fuel, so it didn't have hydrogen and oxygen for the fuel. It just ran the. It was just to run the fuel cells. So that's. Let's see, shroud on, and then I really just need 2 of these. And then my high gain antenna. I just need 1 of these. And this high gain antenna will also work as a my relay, although again I don't need that anymore because I just set up those relays. Then we need to trying to figure out the best place to place this. I will go ahead and put this in here because we need that, and then we need to go ahead and place some RCS thrusters, which actually all the RCS thrusters for the entire lunar service module were all just, there was only 4, and they were placed somewhere about there, and that did all the RCS control for the whole thing. But having said that, this is not as limited as the lunar service module, so I'm going to put more RCS thrusters on here because it makes my life easier later, assuming I can get RCS to work. I'm still trying to figure out what mod breaks that. So this is a nice little service module. There's no reason to use the protected docking port because this is never going to fly in an atmosphere. All it needs is a nose cone, like so. It's not particularly attractive, but there it goes. And this will also all be shrouded, so it won't need it. Because this is only going to launch, and then it will jettison the nose cone, and that will be it. So, I always dock. Yeah, that's true. I always dock without protection, ladies. No, I don't do that. I'm terrified of having children. So, I always dock with protection. Oh. Yeah, we don't want to jettison the shroud. Technically, you can jettison the shroud during this, but that is a silly thing to do. So, I got toggle solar panels, toggle antennas. All right, cool. Then we need to adjust the inventory of this. I got more tools, parts, all that stuff. So that was the other thing. It was sitting in orbit with all these extra parts that I could go pick up. So it kind of sucks that I lost that, but that's okay. That's all good now. We've got that. Plenty of those little connectors, which is what I needed down on the ground. Let's see. I did have to make it pervy. I'm a comedian. That's what we do. All right. Why is it not? It's not doing a shroud on this. That's weird. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to... Oh, well, that's also stack separator. I really just need a decoupler, which are technically lighter. 37 decoupler. Force percentage low. Auto strut. That's auto strutted. Auto strut. Cool. Yeah, so this technically has capabilities. So it's designed to be very similar to the Apollo service module, but not quite. I need actually a TR-25 or TD-25. The other one's much bigger than I need it, and turn the force percentage down. So I don't need to actually jettison that hard. Okay. Now we add a 3.75 meter fairing. Close the fairing. There we go. As a matter of fact, I'm just going to take this damn nose cone off because it looks stupid, and just use the fairing the whole way. The only reason that you actually have the fairing wrapped around the command pod is if you are launching it with a launch escape system, which technically I don't need because I'm not launching a human in here, and so no one needs to actually escape in the event of a launch failure. Make sure that there's no humans on there, or Kerbans. We don't want them on there. And then we will use the the Type 7 reusable heavy booster. Or not reusable heavy, just the Type 7 heavy, or Type 7 reusable 2-stage. Which is this. Come on. It's a big assembly. Alright. This is the Falcon 9 type launcher, using the old style interstage fairing instead of a old style interstage fairing instead of that. The engine plate thing that they had. So let's see. We need to make sure that this launches properly, because it likes to get the staging weird. Launch that, and I want to make sure that this gets staged because this does actually make sure that fairing is staged, because the last time I failed to stage that fairing, it caused all kinds of difficulty, even though it shouldn't. It decided to stay connected. RCS blisters. This is all good. This looks good. Yep, we're all set there. The thing is, I got to make sure that the engines are staged properly. I want to go ahead and be able to deploy that fairing a little sooner. So I'm going to make it its own stage. Yeah, there's that engine. Then we deploy the fairing. Then we stage this. Those rockets activate. That gets staged separately. That activates that engine. What is this? Heat shield. What? Disable the staging on that port. Okay, that's what it was. All right, yeah, I don't need that. Got all my landing stuff. All right, we are ready to go. I think we're safe. Yes. Ooh, did I accidentally save that? That would have been a problem. So this is the Mark II. Hope I didn't save that. So I didn't realize I was using the same thing. I guess that lander is already saved separately. Fingers crossed. Let me see. Mark 1 Minimus crew lander. Damn. I screwed it up. I think. I did. Well, the good news is I can fix that without too much trouble. Because I probably won't use that crew lander one more time. Yeah, so this is still here. It needs a little... This needs a little adjustment to match the one that's out there, but... yeah, okay. Well, that stinks. I screwed up that, but that's all right. So I will take that one, Mark II. Minimus crew lander. It's not technically the crew lander, but it eventually will be. This is just the service module. Also, I've been spelling minimus this whole time. It has one less I than I thought it did. But let's see, service module. All right. So go ahead and launch. I also was looking. They added these Soyuz parts into Kerbal Space Center or Kerbal Space Program, but they didn't add all of them. They just added the spherical part at the top, but not the actual launch reentry, or not the actual reentry part. So I don't know why they did that. That was weird. If you're gonna add those parts, it seems like a missed opportunity to add that part. Yeah, I was saying, you're right. That's the thing. Oh, man. Even though I took them out of here, still try to add people. Yeah, it's Minmus, but it sounds, it should be, it feels like it should be Minimus, but it's Minmus. But I've been looking at it wrong this whole time, even though I've been playing this game for a long time, and I've been saying it wrong this whole time, or thinking of it wrong this whole time. So, all right, no pilots, and then we launch. Let's see. Why are you taking so long to load? Oh, I hate you. I've also been kicking around. I think I'm going to do some stock KSP videos or streams. Everything stock except the like Kerbal Engineer and a couple of those other like super essential mods, because honestly they're really annoying not to have. So and it actually is properly reading the delta V on this stage because I used the interstage fairing and a decoupler instead of the engine mount thing. I don't know why. I don't know. It seems like Kerbal Engineer should be able to handle that because it still acts as a decoupler, but it just seems to have issues where I've actually watched the delta V flicker back and forth between very high and very low. It just, something about it gets it all flummoxed. Those new engine plate parts. Hopefully they'll fix that, but why it does that, I have no clue. Which sucks because I really wanted to. I was using the engine plate for this, the modified version of this, but I think I'm gonna have to stop. I know what roughly the appropriate like amounts of delta V are, like what it should have at various heights. It's just really weird that it does this. And I want to shoot for about 800 meters per second of delta V in my primary booster stage when I separate. That's about right for being able to boost back and land. I fly with a keyboard and mouse. James. All right, 800 meters per second. I cut throttle and I stage. There we go. And then I fire that engine and then continue burning. The other one should turn, and then I would basically boost back to the KSC if I were actually doing this if I were actually doing this with the attempt to land that. You see, it sort of points roughly back to the KSC, and although it tends to want to land, really the easiest way to land it would be over at the airfield. All right, I need to set a maneuver node to circularize. So this upper stage is it will circularize the orbit. It will also function as my transfer stage to Minimus, and then it will return to Kerbin and land. In theory, that's what's supposed to happen. Doesn't always work that way, but that's the theory. And it should have enough delta V to do that in this stage, because of the way the trajectory I'm going to do. It's not going to be. It's going to do my transfer burn, but it's not going to do the insertion burn. At Minimus orbital insertion, it will have already detached and will actually be on a return trajectory to Kerbin if all things go well. Which, given the way things have been going tonight, I'm not sure things will go well, but we'll see. And it has like tons of batteries. And is this set to hibernate and warp? No. All right, so we need to do hibernate and warp so it doesn't run out of batteries. Let's return vessel. But this is also generating plenty of electrical charge to keep things running as well. And it's recharging my batteries. In the meantime, I should deploy that. It's a good place to do it. Or as good a place as any. And we cut engines. That was real close. Yep, RCS is not working still. Yep. Okay, well, that stinks, but we'll make do. It really stinks though that the RCS I wish I knew what was breaking it, which actually makes me want to do more stock videos just to try and play the game as it. Blow up a moon. I could blow up. I think you could blow up an asteroid. I could deorbit an asteroid, but I'd have to detect them first. But yeah, I could probably do that. Actually, is it tracking asteroids? Do I need? Yeah, that's tracking asteroids. I've got an upgraded KSC, so I can definitely track asteroids. Or I could crash something into a moon. I've tried the controller. I've tried it with a joystick. I do not like it. I just find I have it's easy for me to control with with keyboard and mouse. Probably just because I'm more used to it, but I've tried it with the controller and I've just not had much luck. We're going to a moon. We're not going to the moon. And I don't want to blow it up. Can I sweep this orb? There we go. Get an encounter there eventually. Let's wait further around though than I expected. But that's okay. It's a much more ideal encounter than I had the last time. Yeah, that's close enough. I just need to get an encounter with it, and then I will do the rest. Estimated bird 43 minutes. That's probably a problem. I need to turn this off. Or turn the thrust limiter back up. 26 seconds. 927.2 meters per second. Actually, it may not make it back to the return. I think this is actually heavier than my last one. I had enough delta V to make it back, but this one may not. So, what was supposed to be a return reusable vehicle may be expended, but we'll see. It has lots of it has lots of ways to help it land. It does not have any. Fortunately, it does not have any. What would you call it? Parachutes. The simple word, parachutes. I don't think this has enough. This has enough delta V to get back, but that's really no. I don't know. I don't want to warp there. God, focus, Jim. Okay. I do have a stock install of this, which just like Kerbal Engineer, better burn time, and trajectories. I think docking mod too. The docking mod is not really necessary, but the trajectories mod is really nice, especially if you're trying to do reusable stuff. Being able to actually match the trajectory and land where you want to is super helpful. Like, it's almost impossible to, without the assistance of something like mech jab or trajectories, to do a landing in any specific location. But this new service module looks really nice. Some of this other stuff. I should have used, instead of using this engine, I should have used the J2 analog that they put in the game. The service module analog engine. Oop, overshot. But I didn't think about it at the time. That would have made it look even cooler. But so be it. There we go. And now we need to plot a... oh, what is my... What is you... Oh, baby, what is you doing? There we go. All right. Add a maneuver right about there. Get my periapsis and my encounter. Why are you not adjusting the node now? Come on. Don't do that. I want you to adjust the node. Get my periapsis to a nice 50 kilometers. That's plenty high, and not likely to encounter any mountains, because I don't know why my previous orbiter died or disappeared. So I'm going to make sure that this has got plenty high orbit. I think the last one is orbiting at 40 kilometers, which is still far higher than it needs to be. But I'm going to put this at 50 kilometers. Or thereabouts. 49. Yeah, 49 point... Yeah, it's close enough. Adjust my inclination. That's a little off, but it's close enough. Okay. 9 meters per second is all my adjustment needed. So that tells you how this would have, to make that kind of inclination adjustment and stuff like that in Kerbal orbit, would have used a lot more delta V. So deploy the solar panels. Oh, I forgot I bound them to number 5, but okay, doesn't matter. Deploy that. Ooh, that might clip into each other. Ooh, I didn't place that very well. No, it looks like it's... No, there's enough room. Okay, they're not going to clip into each other. Fantastic. But they are a little off. I thought that was one of the 1x6. instead of the 3x2 modules, but that's okay. The warp to maneuver. Would consider making a YouTube channel or YT channel YouTube channel. I assume that's what you meant. I already have a YouTube channel. Why is it not warping to next maneuver? There we go. I already have a YouTube channel. I was streaming on YouTube. I didn't like it. So now I'm doing this. Because originally when I started streaming, Twitch did not have as many options for new streamers, but now it's much better. So, all right, let's get down to sub 10 seconds to node. And just a gentle burn. The channel is also Citromula Beta. I will actually include the link in the notes or in the link or in the chat here if you give me just a second. Why is this so weird? Okay, that's not quite where I want it to be. Did you get so far off? Oh, this would be so much better if my RCS worked. Oh, this would be so much easier. But I don't want to restart the game. I'm gonna find out which mod is doing this to me, though. That I absolutely have to do. I'm gonna adjust the thrust down on this one again to 1 or to 0.5. So I can make this nice, gentle change. And get it right where I want it. It's weird that my periapsis is going to be a little higher than I want, but you know what? I'll take it. So now I will stage while pointing retrograde, because I actually... No, pointing prograde. Because the force percentage will actually make it... or the force will make it go a little bit. So let me see. Where's my YouTube channel? My streams already are uploaded to YouTube. Let's see. All the previous Kerbal colonization programs are uploaded, and this will be uploaded as well shortly. I will upload it as soon as I'm done, basically, and then it will be live tomorrow. There's the link. Yeah, to my channel. All right, now I'm going to stage. And then I need to stage again. Activate that motor. And then... Oh! That was actually quite a bit of adjustments. Of the... What the hell? That made quite a bit of difference on my trajectory. Well, let's give me a chance to adjust my orbit to where I want it. Oh. It keeps wanting to click over. My periapsis. 50. There we go. 0.1 meters per second. Oh, this would be so much easier with RCS working. All right. Going to warp to that node just so it goes where I want it to. Adjust the thrust limiter down on this way low so that I can make this adjustment. I'm going to find out what's killing the RCS. One of these mods is not compatible. It's only... I'm trying to remember if it happened... happened before the 1.4 update. If it was happening before the 1.4 update and that was... or not. I don't remember. It's really annoying, though. Periapse is perfect. It's right where I want to be. So then we will do the orbital insertion burn to circularize at minimus. That's close enough. Turn this back up to full thrust. 9-second burn. What is my meter? Oh, you know. I'm not sure I have enough meter. Not sure I have enough delta V to return to Kerbal with this redesign. That may have been a mistake. But we'll give it a shot. .678 meters per second. No, I can... That should be enough to deorbit. If I slingshot past the mun? Ooh. Well, that's what happens when I try and design something on the fly. Or redesign something on the fly. Why is it taking so damn long to get... Oh, that was a long orbit. Didn't do this very efficiently, although this part's perfectly fine. Yeah, I'm not going to have enough delta V to get back. Unless I unload fuel from the other one. I could do that. So yeah, that cool new service module I thought was so great. It's probably doomed me. But that's okay. So yeah, we're here now. The little lander is actually almost right below us, I think. No, the wrong flats. The lander's down over here. The inclination's a little goofy. What does Kerbal engineer say? Yeah, 6 degrees inclination. But we got here. I think technically I could probably refuel this and use the fuel from the little lander to get all the way back, but that's not really how you're supposed to do that. So live and learn. I will I'm gonna keep playing with these new parts. This is the first time I've actually used the service module before, so it was a goof, but I'm okay with that. That's part of the idea behind doing this. We play the game and try stuff out. So I'm done for tonight. I am exhausted. I streamed a little longer than I expected, so I am worn out. But thanks for watching, and thanks for following if you did. And yeah, the link to my YouTube is in there. It's also on my profile. So go check that out. Subscribe to the YouTube. I'd appreciate that. So thanks for watching, guys. Have a great night.